We stood yesterday there on the killing fields of Gettysburg. It's a place that's burned deep into the psyche of America. It's a place where blood was shed so greatly that rivers would have run red. It's a place where division was so great that brother fought against brother, cousin against cousin, friend against friend, and they fought into the death. The symbolic nature of where we stood yesterday cannot be understated, because it was a place where blood was shed because of division. But we left there yesterday unified in a cause to look beyond those things that split them so deeply, 150 years ago. And, to honor that unity, there was, I'd like to read a quote from a man whose life was cut short 50 years ago. He said this on August 28th, 1963, and it still applies very, very much today. It says, "Even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." I share and have always shared the feelings and vision of that dream, and I know that most Americans, despite what the media would tell us, most Americans share that dream. So I'd like to thank Dr. King for delivering that message, because it still resonates today. And, we can only imagine how history would have been changed had his life not been cut short. But we can continue on with his mission and bring this nation together in that dream. Anyone with eyes can see that while America has made progress towards that dream, we still have a ways to go. We still have to move together to achieve the fruition of that dream. We've made progress, but there are those in this society who seek to keep us divided for their own selfish desires for fame, money, and riches. Anyone with an ounce of righteousness knows that it's immoral to judge a person simply by the color of their skin. This is the United States of America, not the divided states of America. We as a moral people, as a society, we cannot continue toward the greatness that awaits this nation if the belief that the color of a person's skin is somehow a determination of their character. We cannot. It's a small-minded people filled with hatred who judge another because of the color of their skin. It's those who seek to do so that we should shun in this society, for they're the source of much anguish and sorrow that is completely and utterly unnecessary. Everywhere you go, there's divisions placed between us, from government forms that require you to state your race, to neighborhoods where you go that you're not the majority in, that you're unwelcome in, to people who claim to be godly, yet they divide the people of God simply because of the color of their skin. The fact is simple. Skin does not determine a person's race. We're all of one race, the human race, the race that God put upon this planet at the moment of creation. These biases, these prejudices are preventing this nation from achieving the centuries-old dream of a nation where any person has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How can there be happiness and a life of liberty in a life that's full of division and discrimination? There can't be. There cannot be. I mean, if a person, and this here hits me personally, if a person needs an organ transplant, a blood transfusion, or falls in love with another person, the color of their skin is completely irrelevant. 20 years ago, in February, I was hit by a car, and they were telling me all night that I was going to lose my left leg below the knee, that the damage that had been done was so extensive that there wasn't a surgeon in the entire state of Oklahoma where I lived that could repair the damage. Well, God was looking out for me that night, and he delayed a flight of an NFL orthopedic surgeon. I don't know his name, that's just what they told me. They came to me at 7:30 in the morning, and they said, "We found a doctor. His flight was delayed, and he stayed overnight in Oklahoma City, and he believes he can save your leg, but we have to ask you a question." I was like, well, obviously I'm very happy. I'm very happy because I've been trying to prepare myself all night with the notion of living with a leg below, without my leg below the knee. And I said, well, what's the question? They said, do you have a problem or an issue with taking donor tissue from somebody of another race? And, I'm young. And I don't know. I'm not a doctor. And I'm like, the only question I could think to ask was, well, is there a medical condition that I'll have to keep an eye on for the, that I don't know about? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, well, then why would you have to ask? And they're like, because there are some people. They said there are some people that have such a problem with race that they would sooner lose their life or a limb than they would to don't take tissue from somebody of another race. And I just looked at them and I said, that is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my life. Where do I sign? And thanks to that man on February 11th, 20 years ago, I was, my leg was saved. And, I've asked God many times that if there were some sins that perhaps were unforgiven for him, to give him a little bit of slack. Give that guy a break, because without his sacrifice, without him putting himself on that organ donor transplant list, I would be standing here today with a prosthetic leg. And so, thank you to whoever you were, looking down on us right now. Thank you for what you did, because without that, I wouldn't be standing here today on my own two legs, and that's a priceless gift. And I put myself on the donor list after that, and so I can return that favor to somebody else. And I hope that when that time comes, I hope we've moved past that time where they have to ask that person that question they asked me 20 years ago. I'd like to think that. But all of that says that the truth is self-evident. The truth is that we're one race, and we are not meant to be divided. We are meant to stand together as one. We live in the United States of America, not the divided States of America. You see, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, and so do I. I have a dream that one day Americans will not judge another person by the color of their skin or from the neighborhood where they live, nor by the level of their income or by the place where their ancestors were born. I have a dream that one day in America and across the world that a man and woman can marry and nobody will give a thought as to the color of their skin, but whether or not they're just simply happy together. And I have a dream where children can play together, unaware of any differences based on appearance, that the notion of racism is as foreign a notion to them as living in another universe. Where there's no bad neighborhoods, there's no good neighborhoods, there's just neighborhoods. Where there's no poor neighborhoods, there's no rich neighborhoods, because we don't judge one another on that. Where one simply sees another human being, and we can live in peace in the United States of America. I have a dream that we can take what we've learned here the last 2 days and spread it across this land and spread this word of unity so we can all stand together strong with God and in unity, and we can forget the differences and the divisions of the past. That we as one race, the human race, can cast aside divisions, that we can become united in a goal towards a better life, that we can achieve the greatness and the humility that our Creator wishes for us. In this dream, we can finally become the United States of America, the United States of America. Today and yesterday, we were given an opportunity. We were given a mission. And we can choose to leave this place and do nothing and continue on in division. Pardon me. Or we can choose to cast aside those old divisions of hatred, and we can see one another simply as children born into this world, innocent of any division or notion of differences thrust upon us, who only have ill will, greed, and a lust for power. We can continue embracing the old ideas of division, or we can cast them aside for the dream that Martin Luther King Jr. gave us so eloquently long ago.